What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. I'm finally doing it after, I've been wanting to do this for so long. It's Endymion gameplay video right here. Uh, in my opinion, most of the Endymion cards stink. So stupid, in my opinion, that this card is limited to one. It's like Pendulum aren't doing anything, so why not give it its best card? This card literally searches out a spell or monster negate from the deck. It's super, super sick. It's also an extender. I'm sure I play this deck way different than everybody else does. I don't run any of the other Pendulum Endymion monsters. It's literally just Servant and, the main guy. I can't even think of his name now. Alright, so I already had the Mythical Beast Jackal, which is a really good sign. Meteor Burst can come down. I still go through regular Pendulum Magician stuff. It's just your main deck monsters are way better now. Endymion. I forgot his full name. The Mighty Master of Magic. So this is pretty cool. This is way different than the end of a Pendulum Magician board, but still pretty powerful in my opinion. And the thing I like about this deck actually is this is not a good example, but typically speaking, it handles or I should say it helps you keep your zones. In Pendulum Magician, you usually always special summoning like you saw there, but you'll see a lot of gameplay videos where I set up my board, still have my pendulum zones, so the follow-up is just insane. I'm just continually beating my opponent because I have so much more advantage than they do, which is kind of the point of it, I guess. I'll go in order now. I thought that was a cool one to show first, but because I use Magical Abductor, and that's kind of like my replacement for the Servant of the Endymions that aren't in the deck since it's limited to one. But yeah, hopefully if we got in the next ban list, Servant to 3, Electromite to 1, Pen best deck. This is really fun. I'm glad I actually really got down to this. It is pretty complicated, and there's obviously, when you use pendulums, it's a toolbox deck, meaning you can do whatever you want with it. I'm pretty sure this is a really good end board too. There goes IP Masquerade, and going second, this deck is it's silly in my opinion. So this is a spell and trap negate, and I can just return this Servient so I can go through the combos again. Obviously a 4-mana Appaloosa and an Odd-Eyes Vortex, which is an Omni negate. Ended up working out for me here, obviously. Cool. Okay, so we go to Lightsworn. I'm playing against casual. I don't think this deck is meant to play against competitive decks. I may end up doing it if I feel really confident, because I do feel like I am getting better at it for sure. You just have to be really mindful. I actually used to hate spell counters, but I actually find them actually pretty interesting. This is a really insane opening, by the way. I don't think my opponent really understands that. I'm going to be able to get searches, and I'm going to have a free scale in a second because of Servant of Endymion. So yeah, like I said, it searches out a negate. So I already have a monster negate. So this is anti-Nibiru, which is really cool. And that's what makes it probably, I don't know if it's better than Pendulum Magician, but certainly that's the huge advantage. Also, if your opponent locks you out of special summoning a bunch of times and you can only do one pendulum summon, it's nice to have Endymion in there, and Mythical Beast kind of solves that problem. Oh, and the coolest part about the deck more than anything else is that your extra deck is more of a battle focused, if that makes sense. Because you have these cards, which are negates, which usually are what extra deck monsters do. You get to use cards like Kaliga. The MVP of this deck, I'm sure I have a replay for me, is Cyber's Quantum Dragon, which is just nice. It's kind of just refreshing, this deck. All right, so he literally just used his one monster effect for the turn. He's all these inherent summons, and he's gonna finally get over it. But I still have the spell negate and the monster negate here. All right, he's gonna send a few cards to the graveyard, leaving the Endymion, but the pendulum summon's coming, and I'm pretty sure I have enough spell counters to search with Abductor again. So it's pretty nasty, honestly. And this was a good example of that was a really good end board, obviously, but here we go. I'm pendulum summoning now, which is awesome. Okay, I can bring back another Endymion if I want, but normally excess code talker plus any of your kind of bigger monsters in the main is equal to well over game, which it was there. And I'll be doing that a lot. That's pretty much how you win duels. So this deck is way better going second than regular Pendulum Magicians do. I would say it's just a slight bit more bricky, just a little bit. A lot of them I start with Endymion, but it's not all of them, so I'm going to show like a lot of diverse stuff, and I'm sure most, like some of them that I do is like regular Pendulum Magician stuff. I'm going to get a ton of spell counters here. This is eventually going to be like a bunch of disruption, but being able to pendulum summon first and then add the disruption later is awesome. I've experimented with having the other mythical beast in there. It's kind of just not great, but it is a good form of removal, like battle-wise. So I want this deck to try to have like all outs humanly possible. That's really one of the main things I'm doing. And I can go into, like I went into Millenniumized Restrict at some point. And like I said, it's a toolbox, but I do think there's a lot of potential with Muddy Mud Dragon. Kaliga's probably just going to be the better option, though. You know, having a monster negate is pretty good, but your opponent can normal summon. I guess in theory it forces them into their battle phase, which is really nice. So it may be better than Kaliga in a certain way. This is a Dark Magician duel here. Let's see who's going first. Casual-wise, you're definitely able to break boards. Another great thing about this deck, by the way, is that your opponent is going to have like way too many opportunities to ash you, and they probably won't know what the right time is. Versus, you know, Pendulum Magician, it's like it's Pendulum Call or nothing. A lot of spell cards in this deck. I have cards like, you know, Magician's Right Hand in here too. That'll probably come up. That card is insane, honestly. It's one of the most underrated cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, in my opinion. It's like kind of hard to get to your hand, and you'll see it right here. I'm pretty sure he's gonna like try to pop this or something, but like there's no way to stop this unless they like activate like a counter trap, which we're not going to use on Magician's Right Hand. So your opponent, it just can't use one of their spell cards. They have to waste a spell card in the hand to start their plays. And obviously after this, you're going to have a lot of disruption at some point, you know, when you actually establish your board. So this card is a 1-up for me, but if you draw it, you're really happy. You just can't draw multiple copies of it. This is just awesome. It's just non-targeting removal, and plus it like clears your opponent's board. Absolutely fantastic. And this is a access code talker, which cannot be destroyed, and it's 2 pops. Decent enough, I suppose. Here we go. So normally this effect would special summon a Dark Magician and a Dark Magician girl, but because I shuffled it back, it's not going to do that. I do have a spell negate and another spell negator trap, so we'll see how far that takes me. I'm kind of floating out there a little bit, and he didn't draw into anything, luckily for me, so that was pretty cool. Alright, another Lightsworn deck. It's probably a match I played. Some dinos in there. It's pretty interesting. I don't know what's going on. Alright, Magical Abductor and Duelist Alliance. I can pitch the chronograph. You can see in these replays just how important this card is, obviously. It can start your plays early, like now, like I can't be Nibiru'd, which is pretty cool. Well, at least at this point. Yeah, no, because this has enough like counters on it. And then you can bring it back eventually. So I guess at some point you would be pretty vulnerable. It all just depends. Like every hand is so different in this deck. There's a few things I did want to show you, and I'll try to pick them out. Like I had Shen before, and there's a few interactions with Access Code Talker, which is pretty interesting. All right, Meteor Burst is going to come down. I can chain those. I'm going to go into the 8. Looks like it's going to be pretty darn good. Cross Sheep can come down. Yeah, and this can come down after, so this was just really nice. There we go, and there's the Kaliga. So 1 monster effect for each of us. So I have the Spell and Trap and the Omni Negate. I'm going to go ahead and use it there. I don't want him to draw 2 cards. So now like the next thing he has to do is like force out, you know, this Kaliga at some point. And yeah, he just couldn't. So that's pretty cool. Jeez. I don't think I showed this one. Spellbook cards. Oh, this is Gren Magi. I don't even think I realized it. I thought he was playing spellbooks. That's a pretty cheesy way to use spellbook of knowledge, but I get it. I definitely have the Magical Abductor, so there's a lot of good things to like what's going on here. Couple of cards there. I'm going to be able to Pendulum Summon, so I can't even use the effect of the Servant this time, so I actually ended up pitching it because all these other cards are a little more important to me. Alright, Halifibrax. We'll see what I am to IP Masquerena. Oh yeah, so there we go. Like I said, this is what makes it better theoretically than Pendulum Magician. So you can just like go into these big boss monsters, but still have the negates on the board too, without having to use like materials and all that kind of stuff. And this duel is the last one. It's actually way more interesting than it should be. It's against Tindangles. So We'll see how I manage here. Couple of Citadels, that's never fun to see in your hand. It's pretty much useless. And I think this duel is really just a showcase for Phoenix Enforcer, I think it's called. That card is just going to be so annoying to deal with. It's just hard to get rid of. It really is. It's got a decent Tindangle setup. One of the trap cards like special summons 3 from the graveyard. So, all right, he's going to pop that. It's a little quick because I do have the second copy. I guess it did come in handy there. I can at least Pendulum Summon, so I'm going to try to do that here. I'm going to be able to normal summon again at some point because I'm going to add back this Harmonizing. We'll see if I end up using it. I don't remember. All right, I can go to Hulk. There we go. I can add this back to my hand. Yeah, I may end up just going into Access Code Talker and trying my best. So now these can be destroyed by battle, so that's pretty decent. This is going to flip. It's going to send one of his Tindangles to the graveyard. That's okay. It doesn't really do anything in the graveyard. And I can pop this last one so he doesn't get to add a Tindangle card from deck to hand. So that's going to work out for me here. Phoenix Enforcer is going to come back. I don't know. Actually, I probably shouldn't have done that. But because these are all protected anyway, so he's going to keep trying to use those effects. Can't do it. Off the top, he ends up going into the Verde Anaconda. Goes into Access Code Talker. But this cannot be destroyed by card effect. I always go into IP. It ends up being a pretty important card in the deck. And so he's going to crash into it. It's pretty even. So I do have the Pendulum Summoning mechanic, but a top deck of Mystical Beast Cerberus. This card, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to end up taking it out, to be honest with you. I will do a deck profile on this probably in a couple days or something like that. Okay, Phoenix Enforcer is back. Foolish Burial. And I'm going to go ahead and negate that because at any point he can just go into battle phase and attack me. So I guess the first opportunity that I get should be pretty cool to use that effect. Okay, the spell Magician of Prophecy is super good. I'm going to be able to draw 2 cards. I'm going to replace these 2, and you know, I have the Pendulum Summoning mechanic, so normal summoning is not that important. He prevents me from drawing 2, so we'll see if I can at least get a little bit of damage on board. I'm so close. Can't Pendulum Summon this because it's a level 8. This card is so awkward sometimes. It's frustrating. I literally just have it in the deck for this battle phase conditions, but it's just clutch every so often, so it's a hard balance for sure. I'm going to make a 300 IQ here, so this is some high level Yu-Gi-Oh! Tindangle versus Endymion. I hope you guys are ready for this one. Alright, here's the purple poison, so I need to get rid of this guy once and for all. I'm going to attack into this, I'm going to pop it, and when he tries to activate its effect to come back next turn, now I can negate it. So after like 3 turns, I can finally have it out to the Enforcer. I knew his effect was gonna go off when it flipped, but he might as well have one less monster on the field. It probably, that makes my life a little easier. Do you have the negate? I'd rather him go -2. That definitely makes a difference for me. I don't know what he drew off the top. This isn't gonna go until next turn, and yeah, Tindangles are just they're incredible. So it's like you have to have 3 or more Tindangle monsters with different names in your graveyard, which is hard enough to accomplish, by the way, but it also has to include a specific one. So instead of gaining that attack, he's got nothing, and that was the end of the duel. I thought that was pretty cool. And again, I wouldn't have been drawing into anything. So I mean, the Magical Abductor could have gotten me the search, but I still have this awkward scale. There's nothing I could have done about it. But yeah, that was Endymion. That was a pretty decent look. Did a lot of different things, but really cool, really awesome. Let me know what you guys think about the deck in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.